Alright, welcome back to video number 2 in reviewing a probability test question that you might see on the math portion GED, math portion HiSET exam. We are reviewing probability word problems, and in order to do that, we're reviewing certain skills. In the prior video, part 1, we reviewed converting a fraction to a decimal to a percent. And in this video, I'd like to review converting percents to fractions to decimals. And this will probably be a 3, maybe 4-part video in understanding those skills in order to answer that probability word question, which we will go back to at the conclusion of these videos. So let's just go ahead and get started. So I want to take this percent, 75.5%, or 75.5%. You can write 1/2 here and eliminate the decimal, or 0.5 also represents 1/2. And I want to indicate that percentage symbol means per 100. So percent means per 100. And so what you want to do is eliminate the per 100 symbol and just substitute 100 in the denominator's place. Remember, there's an invisible 1 underneath this term, 75.5. There's an invisible 1. Just replace that with 100 to make things easy. So substitute 100 in the denominator's place and just eliminate that percentage symbol. So here is that invisible 1. If you're unfamiliar, I've created a visible 1. I've created a video, if I get my tongue out of the way, on invisible 1s. It's very helpful. It clarifies a lot of things that confuse a lot of folks in mathematics. So I'm showing you there's the invisible 1 underneath this term. Go ahead and replace the percentage symbol by placing that 100 underneath. Now you just converted a percent into a fraction. 75.5 over 100 is a fraction. Now we're going to reduce that fraction by dividing a number equally, the same number equally into the top that will be divided into the bottom. That gives us a remainder other than 1. So reduce, simplify that fraction if it be possible. Now looking at the numerator, the top part, looking at the denominator, the bottom part of this fraction, I know 5 can be divided equally into top and bottom. That will not give me a remainder, of course. So I'm showing you that step here. Reduce and simplify the fraction, right? Again, we're looking for a number that will be divided into top and bottom evenly without a remainder. And sometimes they're bigger numbers, sometimes they're smaller numbers. I always start off with the smaller numbers and just keep reducing with the smaller numbers if I can. I don't want to make any mistakes. So you see here, I'm showing you 75.5 or 75.5 divided by 100. I know 5 would be divided into top and bottom evenly. So I'm showing you that step here. 75.5 divided by 5 is 15.1. 15 and 1/10. 100 divided by 5, or 5 times 20, gives me 100. So that term reduces. I can reduce this fraction, 15 and 1/10 over 20, by dividing 5 into top and bottom one more time. Remember, there's an invisible 0 and a bunch of infinity of zeros to the right of that 1. I'm showing you that here in the next step because that makes my division a little bit easier. Of course, if you're using a calculator, you don't need to worry about that. So 15.10 divided by 5 and 20 divided by 5 gives me the following: 3.02. 3.02. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 2 gives me that 10. So 3.02. Now, over 20 divided by 5 is 4. So I've just reduced this fraction, just shrinking it a little bit as I go along. Okay. Now what I want to do is convert this fraction into a decimal, and I've converted the percent to a fraction to a decimal. So I've reduced my fraction. And now, remember, every fraction is a division problem. 3.02 divided by 4. So I'm showing you that here now. 3.02, and you can write as many invisible zeros as you want. It goes on for infinity. Divided by 4. We take that decimal, we raise it up above the divisor bar. Now I need to figure out what number times 4 gets me closest to 30 without going over that number of 30. And I know 4 times 7 gives me 28. I'll subtract 28 from 30, and that gives me 2. As a remainder, I'll bring down another 2. I know 4 times 5 is 20. I'll subtract 20 from 22, bringing down the 2, bringing down the 0, and 4 times 5 is 20. So I've converted this fraction into a decimal 0.755, 0.755. So to show you here before we end this part 2 video, I'd like to start up at the top again to show you what we have done fairly quickly. So I took this percent, 75.5 or 75.5%. I crossed off that percentage symbol. I put 100 in the denominator. You can see that here. I then reduced that fraction by dividing a number equally in the top and bottom. Of course, don't worry. You can rewind this video if I'm going too fast. You can watch it again. And I reduced that fraction down to 3.02 divided by 4. Or 3.02, or 3 2/100ths over 4. That's my fraction. So percent to a fraction, and every fraction is a division problem. 3.02 divided by 4. I'm showing you here. Of course, you can use your calculator, and you turn that fraction into a decimal, 0.755. I'm going to show you another example in video part 3 of what we just did, but with maybe a little simpler of a number. I'd like to use 7.5% in review to show you what we did here. And then I'd like to use 50% and convert that into a fraction, and a couple of other friendly percentages. So I'll continue this part 2 video in part 3, percents, converting percents to fractions to decimals. Thank you for joining me. Math is easy. Take it step by step.